for all x, if there exists a y who they love, then they are green. So anyone, if they love someone, they are green. That's how the premise works. Don't blame me. Second premise. Everyone has someone such that if the first person is a frog, then they love the second one, or they are green. So everyone, there is some sort of fated lover that if you ever turn into a frog, you will love them. Which is kind of nice. Okay. You do have a true love if you become a frog. From those two premises, those of you writing down there, I'll just jump down to line 16. Okay. Oh, I wonder why this was the case. Every frog is green. We're going to prove every frog is green based on their love lives. Okay. I might see if I can just bring it up a little bit. Scroll. Okay. And zoom. Okay, the top two are universals that we have to eliminate. We kind of wait on those until we've got a plan. The bottom one's a universal. We're going to say anything that's a frog, then it's green, without knowing anything about that frog. That's the first thing we're going to do then. Choose something arbitrary. We'll call it Anne, and we will say, if Anne is a frog, then Anne is green, knowing nothing else about it. So we can show for an arbitrary person, if they're a frog, they're a green, then that means every frog is green. So from 4, the universal introduction. Because we've got no assumptions about Anne at all, we've added a new letter in. This is in mathematics, in a proof you might say, let A be an arbitrary object at the top of your proof. And at the bottom you'll say, therefore A is a frog. And so what we're doing here is, we're not actually saying let A be an arbitrary object, but the fact we've written nothing about it tells us it's arbitrary at this stage, and we're going to prove some stuff about it with no other information. Okay, so this is our universal rule, which we do early. Now we've got an arrow, that's also a rule we do straight away. If Anne is a frog, then Anne is green. If we can prove that, we can prove 4. So from 5 to 6, we'll introduce our arrow. So we will now assume Anne is a frog. So now we're using Anne, but only after, as in later numbers than, when we did our introduction. Okay, so this now becomes, we've now got an A, we can start substituting things in. Well, this formula here has an fx in it. Let's make that an fa, because that might help with here. We've got a reason for using this, so we will. There exists a y, fa implies Anne loves y, or Anne is green. And that's from 2. Universal elimination. We've just said it's true for everyone, so it's true for Anne. Okay. Yes, line 7. Thank you. I'd forgotten that was there. Okay, so now we have an existential at the top. So, existentials we break down straight away. There is something. Let's give it a name. We can't call it Anne. We're going to call it Bob. Line 8, just to keep you happy. Okay, so if there is someone where this holds, we're going to call them. We're going to assume that they are called Bob. So, if Anne is a frog, then if either Anne loves Bob or Anne is green. And we still, even given that assumption, still need to prove the same old thing. So in 6 we've got rid of 6.5 and our block from 8 to 9. We've got rid of our existential, that was a 6.5, or 7 if you prefer. So now the only thing we haven't proved is that Anne is green. And we've got this thing here saying if Anne is a frog, which she is, then she loves Bob or she's green. So we're feeling close already. Okay, we've got an arrow here, and we've got the antecedent, we've got the FA. So we're going to use those two straight away to get this. Even though we don't have a plan, it's a high enough priority, we're just going to do it, because that's going to give us some new information. 10 from 5 and 8, we're going to get rid of the arrow and end up with Anne loves Bob or Anne is green. Okay, so we can't do anything more with this. This is our new information. We've used everything else above. We do have a B, so we could put a B back into our universals and get something if we had a reason for it. And maybe we do have a reason for it. But I don't see the reason yet. You can half see a reason, or I can break down this disjunction. If I break down this disjunction, the second disjunct from GA, I'm pretty confident I can prove GA. So I have no plans for the first half, but I can do the second half easily. So I'm going to break that down, so now I've got rid of the disjunction and get some more information. So I've got a half a plan. So if RAB, I need to prove GA. No idea how I'm going to do that. 11, 12, 13. But if I assume this GA, I'm dead confident I can prove GA. So I'm going to assume GA and look, I'm done. And if I assume RAB, I have to get here. So now I've got rid of my disjunction 10 through 11 to 12, which I haven't really done yet, and through 13 to 13, and you can just write 13 for that. So if it's one of these two things, well, if it's this, it's definitely this. And if it's this, well, hey, maybe it's this. So now, if Anne loves Bob, well, do we have anything that might help us here? This says if there's some loving going on, then someone's green. Let's try that. Put some things in and see if that'll tell us that Anne is green. So we're looking at a universal. We've got half a plan. We want the GA to come out, so our X needs to be A. So that will say if there exists something that Anne loves, then Anne is green. That comes from one universal elimination. We put a B in there, sorry, an A in there to try to get this shape. So we can get GA if we can get this. If there exists someone that Anne loves, then Anne is green. And of course we know Anne loves Bob. So this is an arrow, we can't break this down, but we can turn this into an existential. Anne loves Bob, so there is someone that Anne loves. 14, 15. So 15 comes from 11. And we only introduced this because, again, we had a plan. These are the X's, the things we wait until we have a plan, or half a plan. That comes from 11, and we introduced our existential. And now our 14 and 15 are going to match. We've got this, and if we've got this, we have that. Aha! So from 14 and 15, we get rid of that stupid arrow, and it's green. Every part of our proof is done. So we did an universal introduction down there. Everything else I think is... No, we also used our existential elimination here by assuming up here that the thing that Anne was loving was Bob. We did that assumption. So we've introduced a universal and we've eliminated an existential there. Sorry, there's lots of other work there. These proofs tend to be tend to be quite not short.